The stars look different from up here. Peter Martinez pressed his hand against the cold glass of the observation deck, watching as Alpha Centauri grew larger in the distance. After 6 months of travel, the ISS Pathfinder was finally approaching humanity's nearest stellar neighbor. He smiled, thinking about how far they had come since the old days of rocket ships and space shuttles. "Enjoying the view, Dr. Martinez." Captain Lisa Wright's voice made him turn around. She walked onto the deck, her neat uniform reflecting the soft blue light from the ship's interior. "Just thinking about how this will change everything, Captain," Peter said, adjusting his glasses. "First humans to reach another star system. My grandfather would have never believed it." Lisa nodded, moving to stand beside him. "The quantum drive really changed the game. Speaking of which, how are the readings looking?" Peter pulled out his tablet, showing her the latest data. "Drive's running perfectly. We should reach optimal scanning distance in about 6 hours." The Pathfinder was humanity's pride, a deep space research vessel built to study nearby star systems. Its crew of 50 represented the best minds Earth had to offer. They were scientists, explorers, and dreamers, all chosen for this historic mission. Bridge to Captain Wright. The intercom crackled to life. "Go ahead," Lisa responded, straightening up. "Ma'am, we're picking up some unusual readings. You might want to come see this." Peter and Lisa shared a look before hurrying to the bridge. The ship's main control center was alive with activity. Officer Ryan Cook sat at the sensor station, his fingers flying over the controls. "What have we got, Cook?" Lisa asked, taking her command chair. "Multiple objects approaching from the far side of Alpha Centauri B, Captain. They're big, and they're moving fast." Ryan's voice was steady, but his face showed concern. Peter leaned over the sensor display. "Those can't be natural objects. The movement patterns are too precise." His heart began to race. "Captain, I think we're looking at ships." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. They weren't alone. "Full stop," Lisa ordered. "Power up defensive shields, but keep weapons offline. We're here to make friends, not start a war." She turned to the communications officer. "Jenny, prepare the first contact package." Jenny Adams nodded, her fingers already working on the console. They had practiced this. The package contained basic information about Earth and humanity, designed to be understood by any intelligent species. "Objects are slowing down," Ryan reported. "They'll be in visual range in 3 minutes." Peter watched the main screen as the dots grew closer. His whole life had been building to this moment. First contact. Real aliens. The ultimate dream of every scientist who had ever looked up at the stars. The ships appeared suddenly, dropping out of what looked like tears in space itself. There were 5 of them, each easily 3 times the size of the Pathfinder. Their designs were unlike anything human engineers had imagined. Organic-looking vessels with surfaces that seemed to ripple like liquid metal. "Broadcasting first contact package on all frequencies," Jenny announced. Minutes passed. The alien ships hung in space, silent and threatening. "Any response?" Lisa asked, her knuckles white on her armrests. "Nothing yet, Captain." "Wait." Jenny's eyes widened. "We're receiving something." The main screen flickered, showing a strange symbol, a spiral of sharp, angular lines. Then a voice filled the bridge, speaking in a language no human had ever heard before. It sounded harsh, clicking, almost mechanical. "Running it through the translation matrix," Jenny said quickly. The matrix was a sophisticated program designed to decode alien languages. It would take time to fully understand them, but it might pick up basic meanings. The alien transmission continued. Slowly, broken words began appearing on the screen. "Violation. Space. Authority of. Zoraxian Empire. Terminate." "That doesn't sound friendly," Ryan muttered. Before anyone could respond, the alien ships moved. Energy readings spiked across all sensors. "They're charging weapons," Ryan shouted. "Raise shields to maximum." Lisa ordered. "Jenny, keep broadcasting." Tell them we come in peace." The first shot took everyone by surprise. A beam of purple energy lanced out from the lead alien ship, striking the Pathfinder's shields. The entire vessel shook violently. "Shields at 60%. Ryan reported. "Whatever that was, it cut through our defenses like they weren't even there." Peter rushed to his station, fingers flying over the controls. "I'm recording everything. Their weapon signature, shield frequencies, all of it." Another hit rocked the ship. Warning alarms blared throughout the vessel. "Shields failing." Ryan's voice was almost lost in the chaos. Lisa stood up, her face grim. "Begin emergency jump procedures. Jenny, send everything we have back to Earth. They need to know what's coming." Peter worked frantically, downloading as much data as he could to a quantum storage device. The ship shuddered again, and sparks flew from several consoles. "Hull breach on decks 3 and 4, someone shouted. "Jump drive charging, but it'll take 2 minutes," Ryan reported. "We don't have 2 minutes," Lisa said quietly. Peter finished his download just as another blast hit them. He quickly connected to the ship's communication array. "Captain, unlinking the data to the transmission." Lisa nodded. "Jenny, send it all. Maximum power to the transmission." The bridge was filling with smoke now. Through the main viewport, Peter could see the alien ships moving into position for a final attack. "Message away," Jenny called out. "It's been an honor," Lisa said, looking at her crew. "History will remember that humanity's first step into the stars was met with courage." The last thing Peter saw was a brilliant purple light filling the viewport. In his final moments, he thought of Earth, hoping the warning would reach them in time. The Pathfinder erupted in a massive explosion, scattering debris across the Alpha Centauri system. Back on Earth, 3 weeks later, a signal reached the Deep Space Network. The message was garbled and incomplete, but it contained enough data to make humanity's blood run cold. They weren't alone in the universe, and their first neighbors weren't friendly. The age of innocence was over. The age of the Star Slayers was about to begin. 5 years had passed since the destruction of the ISS Pathfinder. The world had changed. Gone were the old divisions between nations. Fear had done what diplomacy could not: unite humanity against a common enemy. Commander Amy Russell stood in the underground facility deep within the Rocky Mountains, watching the newest batch of recruits train. The massive chamber echoed with the sound of energy weapons and the hum of shield generators. This was the home of the Star Slayers program, humanity's best hope for survival. "Their times are improving," John Baker said, walking up beside her. The tactical specialist held a tablet showing the trainees' performance data. His face bore a long scar from an early prototype testing accident, but it didn't stop him from smiling. "They'll need to be better than good," Amy replied, crossing her arms. "The Zoraxians won't give them time to warm up." On the training floor below, 20 recruits moved through a complex obstacle course. They wore prototype battle suits, sleek armor that enhanced their strength and speed. The suits were based on the weapon data Peter Martinez had sent back in his final moments. It had taken 5 years to understand even half of what he'd discovered. "Kate's got some upgrades ready for testing," John said, nodding toward the engineering bay. "You might want to see this." They walked through the steel corridors to where Kate Morrison was working. The young engineer had grease on her face, and her red hair tied back messily. Parts of a battle suit were spread across her workbench. "Commander," Kate's eyes lit up. "Just in time. Remember how the suits were draining too much power during shield regeneration? I think I fixed it." She picked up what looked like a small crystal. "I combined the Zoraxian shield frequency data with some quantum computing tricks. The new shields actually get stronger when hit by their weapons." "You're sure it works?" Amy asked, picking up the crystal. "Tested it myself. Bobby in Lab 3 shot me point blank with a replica of their energy weapons. Didn't even feel it." Kate grinned proudly. A loud alarm suddenly blared through the facility. Red lights began flashing in the corridors. "This isn't a drill," Amy said, already running toward the command center. John and Kate followed close behind. The command center was a buzz of activity. Large screens showed satellite feeds and defense grid status reports. General Steve Rogers, the overall head of Earth's defense forces, was already there. "What's the situation?" Amy asked, taking her station. "Zoraxian scout ships," Steve replied grimly. 3 of them just appeared at the edge of the solar system. "They're heading toward Mars colony." Amy's heart raced. They had known this day would come, but so soon. The colony only has basic defenses. They won't last 10 minutes. "Then it's time to test your Star Slayers in real combat," Steve said. "How many suits are combat ready?" 12, Kate answered quickly, with the new shield upgrades installed. "The recruits aren't finished training," John protested. "They'll have to learn fast," Amy said. She pressed a button on her console. "All Star Slayer units, this is Commander Russell. Suit up and report to the hangar. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill." Within minutes, 12 warriors in battle suits stood ready in the hangar. Among them was Lieutenant Daniel Hughes, one of their most promising recruits. His suit gleamed under the harsh lights. "Listen up," Amy called out, now wearing her own command suit. 3 Zoraxian ships are heading to Mars colony. We have 2 hours before they arrive. Our mission is simple: protect the colonists and show these aliens that humanity isn't helpless anymore. She looked at each of them. "You've trained for this. You know your roles. The suits you wear are the most advanced weapons humanity has ever created. They're based on the enemy's own technology, improved by our best minds." "The transport ships are ready, Commander," John reported. He would coordinate the tactical response from the command center. "Remember your training," Amy continued. "Work as teams of 2. Watch each other's backs. The suits will protect you, but don't get cocky." "Kate." The engineer stepped forward, holding a case of crystals. "Last-minute upgrade. New shield modulators. They'll adapt to enemy fire. Don't lose them. I was up 3 days straight making these." As the team boarded the transports, Amy felt a mix of pride and worry. These men and women were about to face an enemy that had casually destroyed Earth's most advanced ship 5 years ago. But they weren't helpless scientists now. They were Star Slayers. The journey to Mars took just under 2 hours using the new quantum drives. They stayed silent most of the way, each lost in their own thoughts. Through the viewport, the red planet grew larger. "Zoraxian ships entering Mars orbit," the pilot reported. "Colony has activated emergency protocols. All civilians moving to underground shelters." Amy stood up. "Remember, our priority is protecting the colonists. But if we get a chance to take one of those ships down, we take it. Humanity needs to show we can fight back." The transport ships approached Mars using the planet's magnetic field to mask their approach. As they got closer, they could see the 3 Zoraxian vessels, sleek, predatory shapes against the red sky. "They're launching landing craft," Daniel reported, checking his suit's sensors. "Looks like they want to take the colony intact." "That's their mistake," Amy said. "Team 1 with me. We'll protect the colony entrance. Teams 2 and 3 set up crossfire positions in the ridges. Team 4, you're our mobile reserve." The transport ships dropped them off at different points around the colony. Amy's boots hit the Martian soil just as the first Zoraxian landing craft touched down. "Here we go," she said quietly. "The Pathfinder crew died to warn us about these monsters. Now we show them humanity learned its lesson." The Zoraxian craft opened, and alien warriors emerged. They were tall, their armor similar to the Star Slayers' suits, but more organic looking. They carried weapons that pulsed with purple energy. "Hold positions," Amy ordered. "Let them get closer." The aliens moved with confidence, clearly not expecting resistance. They hadn't noticed the Star Slayers yet, their suits' stealth systems working perfectly. "Team 2 in position," came the whispered report. "Team 3 ready. Team 4 standing by." Amy watched the aliens approach the colony entrance. Just a few more steps. All teams, she said calmly. Show them what Star Slayers can do. The battle for Mars was about to begin, and with it, a new chapter in human history. Purple energy beams cut through the thin Martian air as the Zoraxian warriors opened fire. Their shots hit empty ground as the Star Slayers had already moved from their initial positions. Amy's training kicked in as she rolled behind a rocky outcrop. Now, she commanded. 12 Star Slayers appeared as if from nowhere, their stealth systems powering down. Kate's new shield sparkled with blue light as they absorbed enemy fire. The Zoraxians stumbled back, clearly surprised by the organized resistance. Teams 2 and 3 begin crossfire, Amy ordered. Team 4, circle around their right flank. Daniel Hughes led Team 4, his movements quick and precise. Look at their shields, he called over the comm. They flared differently than ours when hit. The battle spread across the Martian landscape. Star Slayers moved like dancers, their enhanced suits letting them jump incredible distances and react faster than normal humans. The Zoraxians fought back fiercely, but they seemed confused by the humans' tactics. John, are you seeing this? Amy asked as she fired her weapon at an advancing alien. Back in the command center on Earth, John Baker studied the battle data. Their movements are too rigid, he replied. They fight like machines. No creativity, no adaptation. A Zoraxian blast caught one of the Star Slayers in the chest. Everyone held their breath, but Kate's new shields held strong. The warrior didn't even stumble. Shield upgrade is working perfectly, Kate's excited voice came over the comm. Their weapons are actually making our defenses stronger. The Zoraxians began to retreat toward their landing craft, but Daniel noticed something strange about their shield patterns. Commander, he called out, every time they turn left, there's a split-second flicker in their shields, right where the power unit should be. Amy watched carefully. He was right. The aliens had a weakness in their defense. All units, target their left side on my mark. Concentrate fire when they turn. The Star Slayers moved into position. The Zoraxians, falling back to their standard tactics, turned left to form a defensive line. Mark. 12 energy weapons fired at once, all hitting the same spot on the alien shields. There was a bright flash, and 3 Zoraxian warriors fell, their armor smoking. It worked, Daniel shouted. Their shield generators overloaded. The remaining aliens retreated faster now, broadcasting harsh signals to their ships in orbit. Amy knew they couldn't let them escape with information about Earth's new weapons. Team 4, with me, she ordered. The rest of you, protect the colony. They might try one last attack. Amy and Daniel's team chased the aliens back to their landing craft. But instead of boarding, the Zoraxians turned to make a final stand. Watch out, Daniel called. They're doing something with their weapons. The aliens had combined their rifles, creating one large cannon. Purple energy built up at its tip. Scatter, Amy shouted, but Daniel had another idea. Commander, Kate said our shields get stronger from their attacks, right? What if we linked them? Amy understood immediately. Team 4, form up on Hughes. Link shield systems on my mark. The Star Slayers moved together, their suits connecting in a web of blue energy. The Zoraxians fired their combined weapon. Mark. The purple beam hit their linked shields head-on. Instead of breaking through, the energy was absorbed, making the shields glow brighter and brighter. Kate, Amy called, how do we send this energy back? Reverse the shield polarity. Kate's voice was excited. The crystal can't hold that much power anyway. Amy gave the command, and the stored energy burst out from their shields. The blast caught the Zoraxians completely by surprise, destroying their weapon and knocking them off their feet. Contain them, Amy ordered. The Star Slayers moved quickly, surrounding the fallen aliens. For the first time in human history, Zoraxian warriors had been defeated in ground combat. But the battle wasn't over. The ships in orbit began moving, charging their main weapons. "They're going to glass the whole area," John mourned from Earth. "They'd rather destroy the colony than let us have a victory." "Not today," Amy said firmly. "Daniel, that shield trick gave me an idea. Get everyone back to the colony. Kate, I need to know exactly how much power these suits can handle." "The new crystals aren't tested beyond 300% capacity," Kate replied. "After that—" "Commander," Daniel interrupted, "you can't be serious. The feedback would be massive." Amy smiled inside her helmet. "Sometimes you have to roll the dice. All units, fall back to the colony. Link shields and route all power to the main deflector array." The Star Slayers formed a circle around the colony entrance, their suits connecting into one massive shield network. Above them, the Zoraxian ships fired. "Brace for impact," Amy shouted. The combined blast from 3 warships hit their shield dome. The energy readings went off the scale. Warning alerts flashed in every suit. "Shield capacity at 250%, Kate called out. 275%, 290%. "Hold together," Amy growled through clenched teeth. Her suit felt like it was on fire. 300%, Kate's voice was panicked. "Commander, if we don't release it now." "Not yet," Amy said. "Wait for them to fire again. They always fire twice." Sure enough, the Zoraxian ships charged their weapons for a second blast. "Now, release everything straight up." The combined energy of their shields, multiplied by the absorbed blast, shot toward the Zoraxian ships just as they fired again. The 2 beams met in Mars' thin atmosphere. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Zoraxian weapons overloaded, the feedback traveling up their own energy beams. Explosions rippled across all 3 ships. "Direct hit," Daniel shouted. "They're breaking up." The Star Slayers watched as the alien vessels split apart, secondary explosions tearing them to pieces. Burning debris rained down through the Martian sky. "Status report," Amy called out, her voice tired but proud. "All teams intact," Daniel reported. "Suits are pretty much fried, but we're alive. Colony is secure. 11 Zoraxian prisoners contained." Back in the Earth Command Center, there was stunned silence. Then cheers erupted as people realized what had happened. Humanity hadn't just survived their first real battle with the Zoraxians. They had won decisively. John Baker smiled at his tactical display. "They'll be back," he said quietly. "And next time, they won't underestimate us." "Good," Amy replied over the comm. "Because now we know they can be beaten. Well done, Star Slayers. Well done." As the sun set on Mars, turning the sky a deeper red, Amy looked at her team. They were tired, their suits were damaged, but they stood tall. Today, they had proved that humanity could fight back. The tide of war had turned. In the colony below, people emerged from their shelters, looking up at their protectors with hope and gratitude. The Star Slayers had made their mark on history, and this was just the beginning. 1 month after the Battle of Mars, Field Commander Eric Carter stood on the observation deck of the Star Slayer base, watching the strange ship land. It wasn't Zoraxian. This one was silver and smooth, like flowing water frozen in time. The ship had appeared at the edge of the solar system 3 days ago, broadcasting a simple message: "We come seeking allies against our common enemy." Susan Palmer, the diplomatic officer assigned to the Star Slayers, stood beside Eric. "What do you think?" she asked. "Could it be a trap?" "Maybe," Eric replied. "But after Mars, the Zoraxians wouldn't need tricks to attack us. They'd just come in force." The ship touched down in the desert outside the base. Commander Amy Russell joined them, her battle suit gleaming with new upgrades. "Team 1 will stay with me," she said. "Team 2 with Eric on the high ground. If this goes bad, we follow Protocol 7. They walked out to meet their visitors. The ship's door opened with a soft hiss, releasing a cloud of strange-smelling air. 3 tall figures emerged. They were humanoid but clearly alien. Their skin was pale blue, and they had 4 arms each. They wore no weapons. "I am Xena," the lead alien said in perfect English. "We are the Nexarians. We have watched your battle on Mars with great interest." "You speak our language," Susan said, stepping forward. "We have been studying your world since the Zoraxians first attacked," Xena replied. "We hoped you might survive." "Few do." Amy kept her hand near her weapon. "Why are you here?" "Because you did something none have done before. You defeated them in open combat. We want to know how." Inside the base's command center, they shared information. The Nexarians had fought the Zoraxians for decades, barely holding them back. Xena showed them holograms of destroyed worlds, planets where other species had failed to stop the Zoraxian advance. "Your shield technology is remarkable," Xena said, studying the data from Mars. "We never thought to use their own energy against them." Kate Morrison beamed with pride. She had worked nonstop since the battle to improve the designs further. "We're willing to share what we know," Susan said carefully, "but we need something in return." "Of course," Xena agreed. "We offer our latest stealth technology and access to our network of quantum tunnels. They allow ships to travel vast distances instantly." The meeting went well. Plans were made, information exchanged. For the first time, humanity had found allies among the stars. But not everyone was happy about this. Later that night, Eric was walking through the base when he heard voices from a secured communication room. He wouldn't have stopped, but he heard a familiar word: Zoraxian. "The Nexarian offer is dangerous," a man was saying. "We should take the deal from the Zoraxians while we can." Eric moved closer to the door, his training keeping him silent. "They promised to spare Earth if we help them eliminate the Nexarians," another voice added. "It's the smart play. We can't win this war." Eric had heard enough. He quietly recorded the conversation with his suit's systems and headed straight for Amy's office. She was still up, reviewing battle data with John Baker. "We have a problem," Eric said, playing the recording. Amy's face hardened as she listened. "Traitors," she said quietly. "Working with the ones who killed the Pathfinder crew." "It gets worse," Eric added. "I recognized one of the voices, Council Member Alan White. He has access to all our defense codes." John checked his tablet. "There's a quantum communication spike every night at 200 hours, small enough to miss if you weren't looking for it. They're feeding information to the Zoraxians," Amy realized. "The question is, how long has this been going on?" They worked through the night, carefully tracking communication patterns and access logs. Susan joined them, her diplomatic skills helping to piece together the conspiracy. 8 council members, she finally said, looking at the evidence, all from the peace at any cost faction. They've been in contact with the Zoraxians for at least 2 months. Before Mars, John added. That's why the Zoraxian ships were so easy to beat. They knew exactly where to hit them. "No," Amy said firmly. "We won that battle fair and square. Our people's blood and courage did that, not some leaked intel." "But the Zoraxians might have been testing us," Eric suggested, "seeing how we'd use the information." A soft alarm blinked on John's tablet. "Quantum spike starting early tonight. They're making contact." Amy stood up. "Time to end this. Eric, get your team ready. Susan, we'll need you to handle the political fallout. John, make sure every bit of evidence is secured." They moved fast. Eric's team breached the communication room just as the traitors were finishing their transmission. Alan White and his conspirators were caught red-handed. "Why?" Susan asked them later in the interrogation room. "How could you work with them after what they did to the Pathfinder?" "Because they're going to win," Alan replied, his face pale but determined. "They've destroyed hundreds of civilizations. We thought, if we helped them, they might let us live." "As slaves," Amy said from the doorway, "living in fear, betraying other species to save ourselves. That's not who we are." The evidence was presented to the World Council. The traitors were arrested. their plan exposed. But the damage was done. The Zoraxians now knew about the alliance with the Nexarians. In orbit, Zena's ship prepared to leave. "We must warn our people," she told Amy and Susan. "The Zoraxians will attack soon, trying to break our alliance before it grows strong." "Let them try," Eric said. "We've learned something important. The Zoraxians can be beaten, and they're afraid of what we can do together." Susan nodded. "That's why they tried to turn us against each other. They fear unity more than any weapon." "Then let's give them something to really fear," Amy said. "Zena, tell your people to be ready. The Star Slayers are coming to help fortify your worlds." As the Nexarian ship departed, carrying Earth's best shield designs and a team of engineers led by Kate, Amy looked at her companions. "The real war starts now," she said, "but this time we're not fighting alone." Eric smiled grimly. "Good, because I have a feeling the Zoraxians are about to show us what they can really do." "Let them come," Susan replied. "We've got something they'll never understand: trust in each other." In the depths of space, vast Zoraxian fleets were already moving. The battle for Mars had been a skirmish. The betrayal had failed. Now, the full might of their empire would be unleashed. But this time, humanity was ready. The Star Slayers had proven their worth, and with the Nexarians at their side, they had a real chance to fight back. The war for the stars was about to begin. The bridge of the Star Slayer flagship Avenger hummed with activity. Commander Amy Russell looked at the tactical display showing hundreds of ships, human vessels mixed with Nexarian cruisers. After 6 months of preparation, Operation Starburst was ready to begin. "Nexarian fleet reports all ships in position," Susan Palmer announced from her station. The former diplomatic officer now coordinated between the Allied forces. Eric Carter checked his combat readings. Star Slayer teams are green across the board. Kate's new upgrades are holding steady. The plan was bold, perhaps crazy. They would strike at the heart of the Zoraxian Empire, their homeworld of Nexus Prime. Intelligence from their Nexarian allies had revealed a crucial weakness. The Zoraxian leadership caste never expected anyone to dare attack them directly. "Message from Earth Command." John Baker's voice came through the comm. He had stayed behind to coordinate the home defense fleet. "They're tracking massive Zoraxian fleet movements. They know we're coming." "Good," Amy replied. "That's part of the plan." She opened a channel to all ships. "All units, this is Commander Russell. Begin Phase 1. The Allied fleet split into 3 groups. Eric led the first group in a direct approach to Nexus Prime. The Zoraxian defenders reacted exactly as expected, moving to intercept them. "Enemy ships approaching," Eric reported, counting at least 200 capital ships. "Hold position," Amy ordered. "Let them think they've got us trapped." The Zoraxian fleet moved closer, their purple energy weapons charging. But they didn't notice the second group, led by the Nexarians, using their stealth technology to slip behind them. "Phase 2, begin," Amy commanded. Suddenly, the Nexarian ships appeared behind the Zoraxian fleet, but instead of attacking, they released thousands of small objects. "Quantum beacons in position," Susan reported. These beacons were Kate Morrison's latest creation, combining Nexarian quantum tunnel technology with human ingenuity. Each one could create a tiny portal in space. "Phase 3, Amy said quietly. "All Star Slayer teams, deploy." From the Avenger and other ships, hundreds of Star Slayers launched into space. Their suits, now equipped with space flight capabilities, headed for the beacons. Each warrior carried a special package designed by Kate. "Remember," Amy told them as she flew with her team, "we only get one shot at this. The beacons will only stay stable for 10 minutes." The Zoraxian fleet finally noticed the small objects behind them, but it was too late. The Star Slayers reached the beacons and vanished, transported through quantum space directly to the surface of Nexus Prime. Amy's team appeared inside a massive structure, the central command center of the Zoraxian Empire. Alarms blared as they were detected. "All teams, report," she called out. "Team 2 in position at the power core," Eric responded. "Team 3 at the Defense Control Center," another voice added. "Team 4 at the shield generators." Everything was going according to plan. While the Zoraxian fleet was distracted in space, the Star Slayers would cripple their entire command structure. "Begin final phase," Amy ordered. "Plant the packages and fall back to extraction points." The packages were special devices that combined all their advances: shield technology that absorbed energy, quantum field generators, and something new the Nexarians had provided: a consciousness disruptor that would specifically target the Zoraxian leadership caste. "Hostile contacts," Eric shouted. "They've got elite guards in here." The sound of battle echoed through the comm channels as Star Slayers engaged Zoraxian defenders throughout the facility. But these weren't the same humans who had faced the aliens 5 years ago. They were warriors now, tested in battle, equipped with technology that matched or exceeded their enemies. "Package planted at the power core," Eric reported between bursts of weapons fire. "Defense Center package active," came another report. Amy led her team through corridors of living metal, fighting their way to the central chamber. Here, they found what intelligence had promised: the Zoraxian High Command, the leaders who had ordered the destruction of countless civilizations. The aliens rose from their control stations, their 4-armed battle suits more advanced than anything the Star Slayers had faced before. "You dare!" Their leader spoke in that harsh, clicking language, now translated by their suits. "You dare invade the heart of the Empire." "We dare," Annie replied, "because you gave us no choice. You could have made peace. You could have shared the stars. Instead, you chose war. Peace is weakness," the Zoraxian leader declared. "The strong survive by destroying others before they can become threats." "No," Amy said. "The strong survive by working together." She opened a channel to all teams. "Activate the packages." Now, throughout the facility, the devices came to life. The power core package overloaded their energy systems. The defense center package shut down their automated responses. The shield generator package created a bubble that trapped all energy inside the facility. But the central chamber package did something else. It broadcast a signal that the Nexarians had discovered, one that disrupted the rigid, hierarchical consciousness of the Zoraxian leadership caste. The alien leaders screamed, their battle suits failing as their minds lost the absolute certainty that had driven them to conquer and destroy. "Fall back," Amy ordered. "All teams to extraction points. The quantum beacons won't last much longer." Star Slayers disengaged from their battles, running for the designated coordinates. Behind them, the packages continued their work, systematically dismantling the Zoraxian command structure. 30 seconds to beacon failure. Susan's voice came from orbit. Amy looked at the fallen Zoraxian leaders one last time. "Your empire ends today," she said, "but your people can survive, if they learn to live in peace." The Star Slayers vanished through the quantum tunnels just as they started to collapse. They reappeared in space near their ships. Above them, the massive Zoraxian fleet had stopped firing. Without guidance from their leaders, without the rigid hierarchy that controlled their every action, they were paralyzed. "All teams accounted for," Eric reported. "Minimal casualties. Zoraxian ships are powering down." Susan added, "We're receiving surrender signals from multiple vessels." Amy looked at the tactical display. Across Zoraxian space, their fleets were standing down. Without the leadership caste to drive them forward, their will to fight evaporated. "Send word to Earth," she ordered. "Operation Starburst is complete. The war is over." The victory celebration lasted for days. Humanity had not just survived. They had ended the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known. The Nexarians and other alien races welcomed Earth into a new alliance of free peoples. 1 week later, Amy stood with her team on the observation deck of the Star Slayer base, watching the sunset. "What happens now?" Eric asked. "Now comes the hard part," Susan replied. helping the Zoraxians rebuild their society without the leadership caste, teaching them a new way to live. And exploring the stars, Kate added, her eyes bright with possibilities. Think of what we can learn from each other now. Amy smiled. 5 years ago, humanity had faced extinction. Now they were helping to forge a new era of peace among the stars. The Star Slayers will still be needed, she said. There are other threats out there, other challenges to face, but we'll face them together. As night fell on Earth, ships from a dozen alien races moved peacefully through the solar system. Humanity had discovered its place among the stars, not as conquerors or victims, but as protectors and allies. The age of the Star Slayers had only just begun.